Hello, good afternoon, evening, morning, or night, whatever, wherever you come across this. Um, I was playing with these cards today. I was doing a little bit of a personal reading, and I wanted to do some stuff. So we're gonna do a pick an aspect today. I'm using the Wild Unknown Archetype cards. In the archetype, she has aspects of the self, archetypes of the self, archetypes of a place or a setting, archetypes of an object, and archetypes of the different phases of life. I'm using the self, the setting, and the object. The self, the setting, and the stuff today. We're doing the self, the setting, and the stuff today. So I have aspects already pulled. I have the mentor number 6, the siren number 18, the shapeshifter number 15, and then the shadow number 28. Timestamps will be in the description box. This is going to be one of those cut, like pause, resume types of things where, I pause it and then we bring up the next, whatever. Like the last one I did, pick an accessory. And then I'm going to be pulling some of these as we go along. And I guess I'll give these a few shuffles up here. The Mountain and the Ace of Cups. The Mountain, the Three of Pentacles, but maybe it feels like a mountain. But the thing about the Mountain, or the thing about the Three of Pentacles, is that it's something that we're not meant to do alone, honestly. Unless maybe you got Capricorn in your chart and you're that kind of goat. But we're not meant to do it alone. And with the Ace of Cups, I feel like we're coming upon maybe more of these tasks that require us to be cooperative components instead of sole owners or whatever. And so you can pick 1, 2, 3, or 4. You can pick 6, 18, 15, or 28. You can pick by whatever. So for the mentor, this is you being in a position where maybe you're mentoring someone else. Maybe you've gotten this higher perspective in your own life. You've navigated your storms, found a sort of space of awareness within yourself, and you're in the position to guide or lead or advise others. With the siren, this is you feeling a call to something, and maybe you don't understand why. It could be a person, it could be a location, it could be a job, or a certain career. It could be anything that you feel led to with seemingly no reason. I can't hear my meditation music at all now. I'm trying to keep it where I can hear it, but it doesn't, like, you can hear me. It's the Peaceful Meditations playlist on Spotify, girl. Like, I can't monetize anyway, but just in case. And then we have the Shapeshifter for those going through these significant and heavy changes. This period of change and change and change. As I was pulling some of the cards for this in the space of the setting, I believe, like, my legs started to itch, and I was like, I don't know what that's about. So if you got itchy legs, then this might be for you. And then with the shadow is us not necessarily drowning in ourselves, but discovering more and more and more about ourselves through the space of difficulty or lessons. Um, and so if any of those resonate to you, then you can pick one. If none of those resonate to you or speak to you, then maybe this isn't for you, or you can pick by number. I don't know. But I'm going to get into this starting with the mentor, working our way down to the shadow. All right, if you chose the mentor or number 6, then this is where you stop off. This is your stop. Welcome. I got my little selenite ball over here. Just because there's a lot of side table, there's a lot of area that I'm not necessarily using. And so sometimes I just bring it down, How am I going to do this? I'll do it as I feel like. So if you chose the mentor, I think this is aspect of the self, setting / environment, and then the object. So the aspect of the self, no, this is backwards. Well, since I said it like that, and it fits. So the aspect of the self is the flame, but this is actually the object. So the aspect of the self is the mother. And then I'm interested to see what the setting is. The setting is the box. And at the center of the box, you can see that. Now, this reminds me of the labyrinth with the labyrinth of Minos with the Minotaur at the bottom. We had Theseus and Ariadne. Ariadne gave Theseus the thread and the sword to kill the Minotaur and to end the practice of sacrifice, the thread to find his way out of the labyrinth after it was done. Now, it's interesting because you have 51 and the number 1. Let me turn this so y'all can see them. And the number 1 is the first aspect of the self. 51 is the first object. And then the box, number 44, ooh, master number 44, falls not necessarily at the beginning or the end of the environments, the settings. And so I feel like if you chose this one, there probably was a period of you. Honestly, it feels like you mothering yourself. Like you had to mother yourself first. You had to love yourself through the darkness and the difficulties as you were navigating this. Maybe self love has been something that you've been practicing a lot. Maybe you would even consider it a mantra of yours. And now you've come into this space of mastering this flame. And I feel like this flame is you. There's this very like hermit star energy. It's like you've gone into the hermit mode and now you can be the, well, then there it is. Okay, and the mother. So we have the star and the empress. I love, as soon as I said the star, it flipped over. Okay, so we're doing something today. And so with the star clarifying this flame, I feel like that it's exactly what I was talking about. You had to go within inside yourself and maybe find what motivates you, find something closer to the truth of who you are, be able to discover your authenticity, to know, to stand in it. Also, with this flame, it's this candle in the space of the night. And I feel like, as well as with this mother, it's this energy of you not changing who you are because of the situation that you're in. And so maybe you learn healthier boundaries with this box. Maybe the box is, it can also be that it feels like healthy boundaries. And it reminds me of a time when I was talking about the hermit and how when we first go into hermit mode, we take the lantern from the Hierophant. We take the light of the Hierophant as we go into the hermit, but eventually it is for us to discover our own lights. And I feel like that's what this is. And it almost feels like there's a certain number of lights that you've also been granted, not necessarily charge of, but oh, that's a whole bunch. Almost like the people that you are destined to impact or the people that you already impact. And doing so in more of a, it's kind of like cool mom energy, but not necessarily cool mom. It's like understanding that people have to endure and go through their own things. And the Eight of Wands, what's that? Light in the dark all the way. Bottom of the deck is the Ace of Wands. You may actually be finding more and more of a passion in this, or maybe you already had a passion in it before. Maybe you were also working in mentoring a little bit before, but it's like there were still things within yourself that you had to sort of heal that will increase your ability to do it. And with this, it reminds me of when I was in my meditation class and I had helped clear someone else's energy. The instructor told me, so we did a check-in on ourselves first, right? And I think I was dealing with some root and some solar plexus stuff at the time. Okay, Six of Cups. I was dealing with some root and solar plexus stuff at the time. And I'll get one more to end this little triangle. And someone else, it was just like lots of different things that were going on. And it was only the two of us, not including the instructor. So he called me over and there was already I know one day we had like he called it a workshop, where the people who had basically run a workshop before worked on the people who hadn't, and they went around and they like just cleared us. And so I guess we had a little mini workshop as he was running me through the workshop. Sorry, I'll try to keep this more brief. Um, but basically, after I helped balance someone else, he said, I did a check in on myself and I felt better. And he said, sometimes in helping others, we actually help ourselves as well. And I think that's another energy that's here. Um, and he said, it's a way that we can make the world a better place also, like one person at a time or one interaction at a time. And that's the thing about fire. And this feels like a very Sagittarian energy, because Sagittarius to me is that collective fire of the mob or of the enlightened ones, right? It's like the mob leader or the head is the Hierophant, but their flock, that's Sagittarius. That's the Sagittarian fire. With the Six of Cups, I feel like, ooh, okay, I'll take these two. Or these because they came out. Bottom of the deck is the Six of Swords. So with the Six of Cups, again, I was about to say, I feel like there was maybe some inner child healing that's related to the self-love. And then over here we have the Chariot coming out with that Ace of Wands, which is, Chariot and the Ace of Wands, Sagittarius, right? This is moving forward with example, by an example. Also, it's like the more you help, sort of the more insights you'll get. And again, I feel like it's probably related to a passion of yours. And it's like when they say that when we teach something, we learn it twice. And I feel like, again, through the teaching, through the mentoring, through the helping of others, it's actually going to help open you up to things that maybe you didn't see before. Maybe you're helping someone and there's something that you say, oh, ow, oh, the dog scratched me today and I forgot. Oh, gosh, he got me good. I'm sorry. Maybe there's something that you say to them that you need to hear. I was talking to one of my friends. She sent me a screenshot of something that I said to her almost a year ago. And I'm like, wow, where did that? She was like, oh, the wisdom or something. I was like, where did that come from? And maybe I asked, where did it come from? Because maybe it was something that I kind of sort of needed to see myself a little bit right now. But the long and short of this is that, like, you've been through a lot. You are healing that. You're learning from it. You're discovering more of who you are outside of the confines of who you're told to be or who you're supposed to be. Also, maybe what you are. Maybe coming into some gifts as well with the flame and the star that you are going to be honing and maturing as you move forward. And it feels very divinely sort of inspired here, right? With that single wand being sort of struck right there. And there's only actually one wand in this Eight of Wands card. The rest of the wands are shadows. The rest of the wands are reflections or projections of this one because of the light. And I love that. And like, they don't touch that wand. Like, they get really, really close, but they don't touch it. And so, again, I think there is going to be a need for healthy boundaries, and there's going to be a need for, I think, learning not to take on someone else's problems as your own. And maybe you do come across people with the Six of Swords who have stories that really get to you or that really resonate with you or from a similar perspective. But with the Mother and the Empress, I feel like it is, again, to keep in mind that we all have our own paths, and there are some lessons that are vital for us to learn. And so this isn't necessarily the helicopter parent that keeps their child from experiencing the things that they need to experience to the point that when they go off on their own, or if they're ever in a situation, they have almost no ability to handle it themselves. And it's also that, like, again, the flame, the fire that you found within yourself, other people need to find within themselves. So it's for you to be that Ariadne, for you to be connected enough to know what they need to navigate their own labyrinths to come out on the other side without necessarily giving them exact, precise instructions, because we're all different. And work of this kind, it's meant to be done in our own ways, because that's one of the ways that really cements it within us. So I guess I'll pull, if I can find them really quick, and they should be literally right here, the Wild Unknown Animal Spirits. I had thought about it because I got all the other cards out, right? But I was like, oh no, maybe not. Give me one moment, because I do feel like putting another oracle on top of here, and that one would just make sense. It would make sense. We ain't trying to make sense. We're trying to make dollars. I don't know where that came from. I'm sorry, but maybe that's what some of y'all was trying. Maybe that's, what does that mean? Making sense and making dollars, it can be the same. The currency is the same, but the capacity, the weight is lighter, right? And it's not necessarily always to be heavy. And maybe that's something else. Maybe you're realizing that a more heavy-handed approach, or an approach that is more steeped in spirituality or the woo-woo, it makes it harder for some people to integrate. So maybe something else that you're also doing, and it could be coming off of the Six of Cups, is like putting it in a way where a child can understand it, right? And not saying that anyone is necessarily a child, but it's about making it understandable and making it accessible, right? Sometimes I think we feel that if we speak over someone's head, or if the information that we give is inaccessible, then it means that we are extremely knowledgeable or proficient, and that can also be one of the sides of Sagittarian energy, being that which rules expansion in higher education. But as a mentor, or as someone who just communicates in general, it just means that you're a poor communicator. If you can't communicate to whoever you're engaged with, or whoever you're needing to engage with, it's not necessarily something to be proud of, right? Now, not everyone is necessarily meant to mentor everyone, or not everyone is necessarily meant to be a mentor, though. And for some people, their arena is one where they're meeting with like-minded people, or people of similar sort of backgrounds or knowledge levels, where they can have those in-depth conversations. Maybe it's not for them to be able to put it into bite-sized pieces, right? We all have our different paths. And so, too, maybe you need to keep in mind that there are also different parenting styles. Can I get one of these animals, please? For the mentor. Okay. Bottom of the deck is the Scorpion, which is all about transformation. And the card that came out is the Phoenix. I love this energy. Fire, fire all over this. But also it's this, oh, what is it? It's the fire that doesn't burn. The flame of awareness, or something like that. Again, it's like you have this rebirth within yourself, so you can trigger this rebirth in others. Sometimes in order for the Phoenix to rise, it needs that spark. And if it can't catch that spark, then it makes it difficult to do what it is naturally inclined to do. And again, like, keep that in mind. Like, you are to provide maybe the spark for someone else to ignite. Maybe sometimes you got to light it a few times before it really takes off. But again, it's not for you to do anything for anyone necessarily, because we all have to find our own way to go about doing it. And it also reminds me of this Eight of Wands energy. There was this story, or this image of the phoenix, the ashes of the phoenix that lie at the bottom of the ocean. And because they lie in a place submerged with water, it is very difficult for it to get that spark that it needs to be reborn. And it's like, well, how am I supposed to rise out of this if I can't hold fire because of the water here? And this lightning bolt is the solution. It's like the lightning bolt cuts through the water, evaporating all of it as it. Oh, and then the candle here in the flame, I love it. It evaporates all of the water as it hits the ashes of this phoenix. And maybe this happened for you. Maybe you are to guide other people to a place where maybe you reduce the water or you part the sea a little bit. But the lightning bolt, as it strikes the ashes, it cuts through, evaporates all the water. And so, in that split second, this phoenix has the opportunity to rise, riding the vapor that was a result from this lightning bolt. And it reminds me of, like, if you've ever seen a video where someone blows out the candle, but the smoke is still rising from the candle. And if you light the smoke, it'll like travel down and reignite the wick. It's very much that energy. But that's what I got for you. I hope something in here resonated. You're doing amazing. And again, maybe you're going to be called to work on a case to assist someone that may feel a little bit outside of your league or a little bit beyond you, or maybe you don't feel fully prepared. And again, if you're at the space of the mentor, I'm assuming that it's good to have a reminder. It's not to necessarily put yourself out too much, but to help in maybe whatever small way that you can. And maybe again, in helping someone else, you actually help yourself. You discover something that gets you even further along your path. Because, I mean, if mentoring is part of your path, then it kind of sort of makes sense. So that's what I got for you. I hope you have a good whatever whenever you see this, and I hope you're acting in alignment to make the better your reality. Bye. So, current stuff, the Siren. If you chose the Siren or number 18 or the number 2, I guess. This is 218. 218 is what, the first day of Pisces season, I believe? You might be a Pisces. Maybe, maybe not. Could be a Taurus or a Sagittarius. You can resonate to moon energy or high priestess energy. I don't know. This is the Siren. This is for those who feel compelled, but we don't know why. Now, the Sirens typically are dangerous, right? They drown sailors. But we're not focusing on that aspect necessarily. But maybe it is you don't feel comfortable with what you're being led to. Maybe you think it's beyond you. Maybe you think it's too good to be true. Maybe you think it won't work out. But for whatever reason, that compulsion still stands. It's not always bad. So here we go. I feel like I didn't give too much of an introduction. I kind of sort of planned on it, but then, that happened. So let's just go with it. We're just going with it. If you got the Siren, just wisely use your intuition, of course, always. But maybe just go with it. Ooh, the King! Number 12. Interesting. We have the Fault Line, number 49. Yep, 49. And we have the Offering, number 64. I haven't necessarily. Let's just get into this. So 18 would be the space of the Wheel of Fortune and the Hermit. No, the Wheel of Fortune and Strength. Number 12 would be the space of the Wheel of Fortune and the High Priestess. Number 69. No, this is 49 because it's upside down, right? Yes, this is 49. 49 would be Death and the Hermit. And then 64 would be the Devil and the Emperor. I don't know why I wanted to run through all of those. The Devil and the Emperor, the Hermit and Death, the Wheel of Fortune twice with the High Priestess and Strength. So there is this thing about transformation here. And it's this internal transformation that puts you in a space to navigate your external differently. It's like I feel like whatever you're being drawn to, and the bottom of the deck is the Seven of Cups right now. Whatever you're being drawn to, I feel like it's going to put you in a position to attract what is meant for you to you. But it seems like you're afraid of falling into it. And falling into what? Your own power? With the offering, it's interesting that it's the offering and not the sacrifice. But maybe, because again, there is this perception about sirens, right? And so maybe you can't resist the call of the siren, so you offer her something to not drown you. Or maybe after she pulls you into the water, you're like, oh, don't drown me, like I will give you this, I will give you that. But I feel like it's not necessary. I feel like there's a change that you're resisting, but you're being led to something like magnificent that will put you in your power. I feel like you're being called to what is you and what is for you. But we'll pull a few cards on this to see what else comes out. And again, it feels like this almost sort of sword in the stone, like something that will make someone a king type of energy. And it calls to the person that is meant to have it. It reminds me of, I've seen it a few times on like TV and movies, but the one that comes to my mind is King of the Hill, when they were looking for the reincarnation of someone. And Bobby, we find out, was the incarnation of that person. And there were these tests to see if once upon a time, with the author's pen, there was a test to see like which one of these pens is the pen that would make you an author. Or like one of these pens is the pen of the author. Choose the pen that resonates to you. There was this point in King of the Hill where there were these items laid out, and they were like, one of these items belonged to this person in his previous incarnation. So choose. And Bobby didn't want to take on the mantle of whatever that was. I think he was interested in it at first, but then he saw that it meant more to someone else. And so he chose to pass it up. And he ended up picking Connie, right? And how was Connie on the table? It was a mirror. And her reflection was in the mirror. And he chose her over whatever that path would have offered him. And the monk was like, okay. Like, he was like, you have chosen incorrectly. You are not the one. And it's interesting because the one was at the bottom of the self, the aspects of the self. It was the one. Both of these are aspects of the self. It was the one, the forest, and the sword. The one, the forest, which I've been talking about, the space of confusion that ended up being this year, and then the sword to cut through that. Finally, thank you. Goodness. First card we have out is Justice. Okay, all right. So continue the story. All right, so he ended up picking the reflection of Connie, and the monk was like, you have chosen incorrectly. You are not the one. And then the other monk was like, what are you talking about? That was his mirror in a past life, because they were like, you will have some resonance to one of these items, the item that belonged to you in your previous life. And he said he didn't choose the mirror. He chose the reflection of the girl in the mirror. And he was like, okay. And so I feel like, again, maybe with the offering, maybe we have a tendency to pass up on things, or it's like, I could really use this, or I would really like it, but someone else needs it more. And I feel like with Justice coming on the side of the king, it's like, this is yours. It is your birthright. It is your birthright. Am I like grew all of a sudden or something? I literally just saw the Two of Pentacles. Oh, okay. It's like, it is your birthright. It is for no one else. No one else can claim this. It is yours. If you don't claim it, it just goes unclaimed. And so I feel like with this Siren, again, there is an ability to resist. because we're on the fault line. I feel like the ice hasn't completely cracked yet. And maybe you get so close and you see the ice starting to crack. Maybe, oh, this was, no, this was, who was this? The devil, and this was Death and the Hermit up here. So we're going to do a little bit of rearranging. Because I wanna. And we can. We have that ability. Maybe you need to rearrange some stuff. Maybe you need to rearrange your priorities. Maybe you need to figure out why you prioritize everyone else's happiness and success and fulfillment over your own, to the point where you would hand up your, or give over your birth. Why do I keep saying birth? To the point where you would hand over your birthright to someone else. And it's like, this is something that, it's like, to anyone else, the sword is just a sword. It's only Excalibur in your hands. To anyone else, the sword is it's like a stick, right? To anyone else, this pen is just it's just a pen. Only in your hands does it have the ability to write and rewrite stories. And it's time for you to rewrite your story. And again, I feel like you're sort of on the ice. I feel like you're coming to this, and then you get like freaked out. The ice starts to crack. You're like, oh, I'm about to fall in, and there's darkness here, and darkness, a lot of darkness here, but. And there's also like darkness around the hand. So maybe also this is something that you've been guided to for a long time. You already have everything that you need. Oh, speaking of Excalibur, here's the sword, Ace of Swords. You've been guided to this transition for a long time. You've been preparing for this in a lot of ways. A crack, a fault line, it doesn't just appear, right? There are many small cracks, many micro fractures that with enough force, or when an event occurs, it connects them all together. There's a connecting of the dots here. And I feel like with this Four of Swords over here, it's like it's like you're comfortable where you're at. Maybe you're comfortable playing small, right? Maybe you don't want to be seen or be known. The Fool and the Lovers at the bottom of the deck. It's like also maybe a feeling of completion anxiety, but like this isn't where the story ends. This is literally the beginning. The beginning of the story starts when you pull the sword from the stone. This is the beginning of a new journey. This is, I mean, it's like it's not all going to happen at once, but it is at the same time. Ten of Swords at the bottom of the deck, with the Mother of Pentacles being the last one out. For some reason today, the Mother of Pentacles is giving me an energy of us. It's like it's the result of the rebirth. And it's funny because I just moved the Two of Pentacles from here to up here because of this rebirth energy, and here's rebirth here. This is us parenting our own inner children, or parenting ourselves. It's like we keep the wisdom of what we've learned and what we've accumulated, but we allow ourselves to experience something new. This is the mother who allows her child to be whoever they are. Excuse me, and who will love and encourage and support regardless. This isn't the mother who forces their child, rather consciously or not, rather overtly or not, into being whoever it is that they desire for their child to be. It's about allowing the path to be whatever it is. And I feel like sometimes we kind of sort of project all of these things onto it, and it freaks us out. But with justice over here as well, it's like not only do you have everything within you to do this, not only is this something that you want, not only are you qualified, if not overly qualified, this is yours. It is rightfully yours. You just have to allow yourself to receive it. And I feel like maybe we think that a lot of things are going to change. We think that, maybe we're too busy, or maybe there's too much going on. And I feel like it's not necessarily going to be the case. I feel like this is going to be a power that you can rest in because this power is yours. If this was someone else's, then maybe you would have to work hard to keep it up. And it's not that it's going to be necessarily easy. But again, with all of this energy, it feels like you calling to you, or this version of you that you can be calling to you. And again, it's like as you proceed down this path, you are continuously transformed into it. And I feel like, again, like there are going to be things that shift drastically, but in your physical day-to-day life, it may not necessarily be everything at once. It could be with the Mother of Pentacles coming out over here, but I don't think so. I think this is you growing into a new you, or allowing this other aspect of yourself to grow and mature. And it's this aspect that is, I want to say regal, but it's this aspect of you that has the ability to make your own choices and decisions, right? Because I feel like maybe also with the offering, you were always in this space to appease something or someone else, maybe trying to keep the peace. But also with the fault line, it's like some things need to be disturbed and you need to come into whatever you are coming into. We're going to end this with an animal oracle. And I'm not reading books today, so we are just going off of whatever comes. But this is gorgeous. And again, that's why I feel like it's not necessarily about drowning. It may be a little overwhelming sometimes. I feel like as you're in the process of doing this, you may be like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe I'm doing this, or I can't believe I'm doing that. And it may be this sudden recognition that you are doing something that maybe you used to dream of, or something that you never would have allowed yourself to do. And maybe in that moment you kind of sort of recoil a little bit, just thinking of the space that you used to be in. But again, it's like you're not done yet. And you don't got to be perfect. You know, our paths are our paths. We still grow continuously. But let's see. So for the Siren, I love this. It feels like your internal fire. Like I said, it's this version of you that is awaiting birth. And then there's the current you. And there are parts of you that are awaiting this rebirth. I feel like there's this very tired energy. It's like, I'm tired of having to compromise. I'm tired of having to settle. I'm tired of never doing what I want to do. I'm tired of not doing what I want to do with my life. But then when you're presented the opportunity, it's like, ooh, like, I don't know about that. That's a lot. So it's like, take it. Okay, let's try to encourage something. Also, I hope the music isn't too loud. That's what I forgot to say at the beginning. Oops, okay. I have it up for me to hear, but hopefully not to be like drowned out by. I don't think anything else flipped over. Nope. Bottom of the deck is the rabbit. Now the rabbit talks of us. The rabbit in balance, it can be like this empress. What is it? Fertile. It can be this fertile energy. It can be the energy of multiplication. But when it's not in balance or on the shadow aspect, it can be this energy of timidity and being overly frightful and creating these negative self-fulfilling prophecies. The story talks about the rabbit who runs around all day talking about how the eagle is going to eat him or her or them, how the eagle is going to eat it. I feel comfortable calling a rabbit it, not a person, but I can call a rabbit it. I'll just say them. To the point where the eagle flies overhead, or the eagle is just coming by, overhears the rabbit, and then decides to eat the rabbit. Eagle was probably like, you know what, I wasn't even really thinking about rabbit today, but now that you mention it, it sounds pretty good. It's this negative self-fulfilling prophecy. It's this you inviting the energy of things that will usurp or continue to usurp your power into your space, into your life, because you're not accepting it or feeling that you're worthy of it for whatever reason. And I guess there's the question of like, why do you fear greatness? Why do you fear being known? Why do you fear letting people in? Why do you fear being seen? Why do you fear shining? What do you think you'll have to lose? Because when we come into this of our own accord, in our own right, in our own way, we set the rules. And I feel like that's what this Four of Swords, the Justice card, and this Ace of Swords is kind of sort of saying. We set the rules. We set the terms and conditions. when we come into this. And I feel like maybe you also need to not be so compromising. Maybe you're going to come and like the things that are meant for us are ours, right? Sometimes some people will try to sell us something that already belongs to us. And it's like, how are you selling this to me? This is already mine, right? Just because you made it here before I claimed it doesn't mean that the rights to this have transferred to you. Like, this is already mine. It's already paid for. I'm not paying for it again, girl. And if you need to see my receipt, I have it. There is this sort of like freeloading slash carrying on type of energy. It feels very much like maybe something or someone else will say like, oh, I made you, it's because of me that you're in this position to claim that. And that's like, maybe they assisted, maybe they helped, but I feel like for this is all you. And again, you get to set the terms. So whatever, I feel like it is to be open. Again, we are being open with this Mother of Pentacles to allow the abundance into our lives. But if there's something that doesn't vibe with who we are, we don't have to compromise ourselves in this. The card that came out is the Lizard. And I love the color on the underside of this lizard right here. Lizards are all about growth, regrowth, and transformation. They have this ability, like the starfish, to regenerate, right? If you cut off the tail of a lizard, it'll grow back. Or maybe that's just salamanders, but I'm getting it for lizards today. The lizard is also pre-dragon energy. And pre-dragon energy, it's like you're coming into the power of who you are. You don't necessarily have the mobility with the wings, and you don't necessarily have the ability to more fully at this point make your vision realized with the ability to breathe fire. But you can breathe air, and once air catches a spark, it becomes fire, right? So I feel like also with this, like, there are things for you to worry about, and then there are things for you to not worry about. Just focus on whatever you need to do moving forward. Focus on creating an environment that you can feel comfortable in. And we do that by being authentic to ourselves. If we approach something with authenticity, then there's less for us to worry about on the back end, right? And it's like, instead of trying to be someone who you aren't, or instead of trying to be what you think someone or something is looking for, be you. Because it's like, if you end up becoming someone who you're not, especially something or someone that doesn't make you happy, and then you have to maintain that, it increases that discomfort. So what you're offering is your true, valid, authentic self. That's what you're offering to this, and you will be met with recognition and appreciation. And again, like lizards, they're cold-blooded, and so it's like they don't have the ability to hold heat or to maintain heat. Their bodies aren't self-regulated, so they rely on their environment in some ways. And again, or not again, I feel like there's this energy of like, maybe in your mind you perceive of king energy as like, I don't need somebody else to do this and I don't need somebody else to do that. And I don't think that that's necessarily the case. Because again, with this siren, I feel like as you come into this space, you will attract to you other things that will further you. But it's to have this harmonious relationship with your environment. And if you've had disharmonious relationships in the past, that may be something that you need to transform. Maybe you need to realize that, or maybe you will come into the space of seeing that maybe your interactions in the past weren't just. Maybe you weren't fully present and there was no peace there, and you tried your hardest to maintain, and then you ended up sacrificing to the point where you didn't have much left to give. And when we're in these spaces that are for us, that we are also for, that give and take is more reciprocal. And so there's this free flow, right? This isn't a king that necessarily has to be super dictatorial. dictatorial, right? Like you don't have to exert, you don't have to exert your authority and your dominance all the time, right? I think it's to work harmoniously with your environment, to come into who you are before you really get that mobility and before you come to the position where you can effortlessly just make your vision a reality. I would also say work on communication, right? Maybe sometimes also, and again with the rabbit, there is a little bit of timidity here. Um, but sorry, move this. Here we go. There we go. This way. The Ten of Swords is at the bottom of the deck. So this is going to require a lot of transformation of the ego. And I feel like more so, not necessarily the ego in a bad way, just like allowing yourself to be heard and to be visible. This is a personal transformation, maybe to some things that keep you from pursuing the things that are for you in the first place. But the things that are for you will always be for you and they will always call. Sometimes the more you resist, the louder they get. Again, use discernment. But I think I forgot where I was going with that. Um, Communication, yeah, it's about, right, not necessarily talking over people, but getting your point across. So that's what I got for you. This looks like a lot to come into. It may feel overwhelming at times, but I say that, like, remember again, it doesn't all happen at once. It's sequential. And if it feels like something that you've been building, this does, not if it feels like something, it feels like something that you've been building up to and preparing for in many, many, many ways. Maybe lots of discontinuous ways, like maybe you don't see how all of these pieces will fit together. But as you approach this again, and as things are attracted to you in this space, I feel like it'll make sense. And I feel like you'll do great. You'll do great. You got this. I hope you have a good whatever whenever you see this, and I hope you're acting in alignment to make the better your reality. And I'll catch you next time I catch you. Later. Hello, shapeshifters. Konnichiwa, konbanwa, ohayo gozaimasu, ni hao ma. I don't remember how to say good morning or hello in in Russian. What is it? I don't remember. I was going to try to say it in a few different languages. Buenos dias, buenos tardes, you know, ciao, aloha, hola. Because I don't know, it's the shapeshifter, so I'm just trying to say it in different languages or something. I'm just trying to be a little fun, you know? Okay, so let's get into this. The music is on, so I can hear it. Hopefully, it's not too loud and you can hear me. I won't know until this is over. I think it's fine. I think it'll be fine. But we're gonna get into this. I feel like I need to readjust. Like my legs were itchy earlier. There's a little bit of an itch again. I feel like my back is starting to, like, I don't know, maybe growing pains. Maybe you're in this. Maybe this transformation isn't necessarily peaceful. Maybe you got some mutable energy in your chart. If you don't have a Gemini, Virgo, Pisces, or Sagittarius Sun, Moon, or Rising, maybe look to see what house. Check and see what house those energies fall in. Maybe. Well, the King of Cups is at the bottom of the deck, so maybe Pisces in particular. If you don't have Pisces in your chart, maybe see what house Pisces rules or what house Pisces is in. Maybe that's an area of significance in your transformation, or it could provide you some insight in some way. I don't know. Um, let's just get into this. So we have, the Creator. I love this energy. What y'all's up to? The Ocean, okay, and the Prayer. Ooh, we'll pray into the Creator. This energy can be rough. Um, Honestly, it feels rough. It's beautiful, but rough. Praying to the Creator, it's dredging up these things from the depths of the ocean, bringing it to your awareness so you can change it, to assist you in this period of transformation. I feel like if you've been asking for something, or if you asked for something in the past, it requires that things, and here's the Seven of Pentacles, so maybe it requires a disruption of the way that you usually do things, a disruption to your day-to-day life, right? Virgo is the energy of the sixth house, which is our daily routines and our habits, and it can be our health and stuff like that, right? And maybe there's a change that's required in that to get you to the place and the position where you can claim whatever it is that you've been manifesting, right? There's this light side of the ocean, and then there's the dark side of the ocean. Very scorpionic energy here. Father of Cups is, fixed water, Scorpio. Even though I went with Pisces. Well, here's the Knight of Cups, which is mutable water, Pisces. So, hey. And then the Nine of Cups, which is more Piscean energy. Again, with that wish, for this wish to be granted, it requires some movement from you. And I feel like even though, like I was saying, growing pains, even if it is something that's a little bit uncomfortable, I feel like you do like it. It hurts, but you like that you're coming into a different space. Oh, the Empress, girl, with the Creator. Don't mind if I do. Okay, we'll actually save this one for last. Just saw the Chariot at the bottom of the deck. I feel like you're becoming more of who you are. And this is kind of sort of a theme running right now. But, we're all doing it in ways, or we all have the opportunity to do it. Ooh, Ace of Cups, all right. Mother of Cups, all right. Well, we've seen the Sun, the Ace, the Mother, and the Father. If this is the Daughter of Cups, then that's the whole family. And they could. But the more you transform, I feel like the more you like it, the more you feel yourself being free, the more you feel open to, the more you're able to create, the more you're in the space to create. Because we can only sort of create what we have the capacity to hold, right? And after a certain point, we release it to the world in order for it to grow and mature on its own. And with the Empress, it's like we credit her with creating life. And it's not that that's wrong, but the Empress does not create consciousness. She creates a vessel that consciousness can inhabit, which is just as beautiful, if not more. Well, okay, I guess if we created consciousness, that would be whatever. But again, like, that's her ability. Her ability is to transmute things into something capable of holding a consciousness of its own. And so it feels like there's something, it is the shapeshifter, there's something being born anew within you. And it's like there's an eye in the bottom of this ocean. And the space of the darkness is an eye. And so maybe you prayed for something like, now you're in the space of significant transformation. Maybe dredging up, I'm going to look at it now. The Three of Swords, yeah. Dredging up all of these painful things from the past because of that eye in the darkness. It's like, even if you ask for light, or even if you try to manifest light, or even if you wish for light, all you really see is darkness. And so before you can come into the space of manifesting something beautiful, it's almost like you have to be able to conceptualize it. And so maybe for you, it's been a more incremental process. It's incremental for everybody. Maybe you feel like it's been slow. I feel like it probably hasn't been as slow as you think it's been. There is an energy of like something being a long time coming, and there's a magician right there with the sword over here. So not looking at the sword. And again, that it clarifies this energy, like you weren't able to see or rationalize or conceptualize of these things. It's like you knew to wish for it, but the way that it's going to be coming in is a lot better than you would have expected or hoped for or dreamed of. And what's beautiful about this is Magician, Empress, the Creator, as you're being transformed, it's putting you in a space to create this yourself, or to be a more active participant in the creation of this. Now here's the Emperor at the bottom of the deck, but it's going to require you to sort of, look, Six of Wands, victory, through the space of transformation. It's going to require you to integrate the lessons of the past without holding on to the hurt and the pain. Because as long as the star is the star, we'll never get there. The star is too far. It's only when the star, like through the space of transformation, after we've walked away with that Eight of Cups energy from not great emotional habits or thought patterns, do we come to the space where we can claim our wish fulfillment at the Nine of Cups, and then reach this space of interacting with it, growing with it, being made even better, and coming more and more into our creative capacity with that Ten of Cups. So let's see what else we can get on this. What can we put on this prayer? Okay, that's a whole bunch. That's a whole bunch. Maybe you had a lot of prayers. The Seven of Cups is at the bottom of the deck. And again, it feels like it's been incremental. Like you had to knock off all of these cups facing the moon until you get to the point where you choose the one facing the sun. And I think, again, it's like it's not to feel bad. I don't think anyone necessarily would. But it's understanding the process as things continue to rise from the ocean. It's like eventually, as all of the darkness rises to the top to be transmuted, the water will drop to the point where this eye will conjunct this eye. And it's like this eye is the things that you see for yourself. Again, submerged, only darkness, because maybe that's all you experienced. Through this shape-shifting, it's like it lowers the darkness, the water comes in. This eye up here is kind of sort of what Source wants for you. It's the it's not void of potential, but that's the way it's coming to. It's not empty, but it's a void because it's like an abyss. It's bottomless. This is the abyss of your potential, and eventually it'll put you in a position where you're able to see into that, and from that void of potential, create whatever it is that you wish to be with the Empress and this creator. And it may be hard to imagine that more difficulty would be the answer to a prayer, but it's through the overcoming of all of that that we get there. Here it is, the Six of Wands, the Fool, and the Five of Pentacles. I feel like this was a prayer to not feel so left out, forgotten, or abandoned, to be in a position to have a new perspective on your life, and to be triumphant over your darkness. And it comes in the way that I don't want to do this. This is how I want to do it. It comes in a way that we allow it. And sometimes it's a lot, like we can't necessarily leap from one space to another. And so it's the series of incremental steps. Again, we're going through all of these cups until we mature to the point where we manifest, we create, we only allow ourselves those. And I'll take these two. Ooh, the Daughter of Pentacles and the Ace of Pentacles. And we see that Ace of Pentacles up in the rainbow. With this Empress, yeah, this is... You're in this space now. You're coming into the space now where it's like Spirit has proven itself to you in little ways. And as it continues to prove itself to you, you continue to trust more and more. You allow yourself to manifest bigger and bigger, to eventually the point where you make, and again, this is almost that sixth house energy, that daily routine, habits, and health and stuff like that. You make so many changes in so many areas that eventually it's like it all comes together and you start manifesting this brand new life. You start becoming the creator of so much, tapping into your own creative abilities. All right, let's round this out. Let's round this out. Final card, please, for this. There we go. Come on. Oh, no. I ain't doing it. I'm not. Six of Pentacles, this is give and take. In order for you to receive something, you have to be in a space to not only, I feel like in order to receive something, you have to be in a space to receive it. It's not going to be given to you if you're not going to receive it, because then you just lose it. And sometimes when we lose something, it hurts us more than never getting it in the first place. But this thing that you never, like this thing that you don't get, I feel like it's ultimately something that wouldn't benefit you anyway. Right? Because when it comes to your wish granted that you've been holding on to for so long, maybe you're growing something in the past, trying to mature it into something that it's not supposed to be, something that you're not supposed to receive, and maybe you're being saved from this commitment that ultimately wouldn't last. Because again, this is something else that you're manifesting from the space of the dark. We haven't yet transited into the light. Everything is sort of transient right now. Everything is subjected to flow. The things that are for you and the things that are not for you. The things that are for you, you may sort of reject at points. The things that are not for you, you may hold on to at points as you're sort of navigating this space of shifting between who you're going to be, who you used to be, and who you are now. It's like there's no permanence in this yet. And so be kind to yourself, be patient with yourself, and allow yourself to continue to incrementally shift more and more and more and more things in your life to the point where it's a whole new reality. And then we have the Two of Cups, the Hanged Man, and the Two of Swords. And I feel like this is sort of like, again, this is navigating. I feel like things are being presented to you right now that you want. There is a bit of the stalling energy because mentally there's still a little bit of a battle there. But more and more and more, you're coming into this space where you're able to receive more and more and more. And eventually you will get there. Come on. What's up with all these cards? Okay, so we got the Four of Swords, Strength, and the Six of Swords. And I love that the Six of Swords came out because I was going to mention it when the Daughter of Pentacles came out. I was like, that's the same rainbow from the Six of Swords. But I was like, well, the Six of Swords isn't on the table and I'm not going looking for it. So I won't even mention it, but here it is. And I think I've seen these cards before, the Four of Swords, Strength, and the Six of Swords. Right? Instead of the Five of Swords battle, you're having the strength to no longer put your energy into things that don't get you where you want to be. You're going from peace to movement. With the strength to, again, it's like maybe that's the strength to not engage in things that just aren't worth it. Like maybe you're the type of person who, I just had a dream about one of these kids the other day. It's not like you're not necessarily gullible, but you're easy to manipulate because of your ego, right? I don't want people to view me like this, or I don't want somebody to see me like that. And it's like someone's like, hey, like do this, and you're like, no, that's dumb. Why would I do that? And there's like, what? Are you too scared? And then you're like, oh, well, I don't want to look like I'm scared, so I'm gonna do it even though I don't want to, and it doesn't benefit me at all, and I know it's dumb. But I'm gonna hold on to, I gotta look a certain way. And it's like, no, it's time to put that down. Because with the Five of Swords, it's those Pyrrhic victories. It's victory where it's like we lose more by fighting than what we gain, right? If it takes you like, I don't know, like $1 billion worth of lottery tickets to finally win millions, you've lost a lot more than what you gained, right? And it's like at a certain point, instead of leaving it up to chance, you do better to just go after it and get it. Sometimes in the moment, it's like, well, if it's $1 billion, that's like 2 here and 2 there and 2, if it happens in twos, and again, like we lose a lot incrementally, we gain a lot incrementally. It's not all at once. And I feel like, again, that's this sort of like back and forth balance that you're learning to navigate. But don't allow your ego or attachments to keep you in a space that is not for you. And I think that's why strength came out, because it is going to be difficult. The card that came out is the raccoon with the otter at the bottom of the deck. Yeah. I feel like this is about you coming into the space where you can be light, joyful, and playful, carefree, where you can form these attachments, and the Two of Cups was there, where you can form these attachments that are sort of worthy of you, right? That are worth having around, and where you can navigate life in the unpredictability of life with energies, people, situations that are more solid. And again, these are going to be creator side instead of like prayer side, because this is where it actually becomes reality. It becomes you manifested into your reality over here. You're wishing for it over here, but again, with that like the energy of the star, it's something that's always out of reach. And you have to find out why or how you continue to self-sabotage with this raccoon. How you sort of stand in the way of you getting everything that you want or wish for or hope for. How maybe even you allow yourself, again, with this strength in the space of the Five of Swords, to buy into situations or play into situations that you know are only to your detriment, that don't benefit you in any way. And sometimes we self-sabotage through the space of other people, right? And then it's like, man, like I knew that that wasn't going to work out, or like I knew that this person was that, or even jobs, right? Sometimes we distract ourselves with work, or we take a job that isn't necessarily for us because it pays the bills, instead of going after what it is that we actually want. And so much of this over here is about creating. It's about these incremental changes. It's about maybe not necessarily doing these miraculous things all at once, but how little by little by little by little we get there. But you can't stand in your own way anymore. I feel like other people can only do so much. And again, with the Three of Swords here, and with the Eye and the space of the darkness, and with the prayer, I feel like things were really dark for a long time, and maybe you don't understand why. But you have the ability right now to come out of that, to shift out of that, to change who you are on so many fundamental levels, but maybe to the point where your DNA is the same. You're just activating a different part of your DNA. You're just reading a different set of the DNA rather than what you have, because, DNA can change, but also we don't even, like, the body doesn't even read the bulk of what is coded in DNA. It's like we read the same things over and over and over, and that becomes who we are. But there's so much of who we can still be if only we shift the frame, if only we shift the perspective, if only we allow ourselves to be that. And you can stay who you are at your core. But also, I think it's about realizing that maybe some of the things that you think you are, or some of the ways that you think you are, aren't actually you. It's who you've had to become to survive or to thrive in whatever environment you were in. And you're getting to the point where it's holding you back, because that space that you were in, that chapter, is over. That book, that series, those volumes, over. You're coming into the position to be able to write and create. Like, you have the creator and the empress. With the Ace of Pentacles and the Daughter of Pentacles, like, this is brand new. But you have to allow it. You have to allow yourself to be new. So I hope you do. And, raccoons are also interesting because they're, one of the few animals with opposable thumbs. And so they can really get into stuff. Right? Like, monkeys and stuff, they have opposable. Do monkeys have thumbs? Yeah, they have thumbs. What don't monkeys have? Or gorillas? I don't remember. I think there was something that they didn't have. But they have opposable thumbs because they can grip. Raccoons do too. But, they're known to be a little sneaky. Maybe instead of going after scraps, you're creating for yourself. You're creating for yourself, so allow yourself to be creative. incrementally, step by step by step, allow your trust and your faith to expand until the point where you can comfortably navigate this. Because again, if you get into this before you're really comfortable, I feel like it's going to be a lot harder to have this strength to not self-sabotage or to not put into things that don't actually serve you. But hey, if you have the strength to just zoom and go, then go for it. Go for it. Because you create this at your own pace, at the pace that you're comfortable with, right? Sometimes when we're comfortable with the unknown, we get to go for it. Sometimes when we're learning, maybe we trace a little bit more. Maybe we follow someone else's guidelines. Maybe we seek instruction from someone else. But eventually, it's time for us to develop our own styles. It's time for us to develop our own styles. Is that what I said? I feel like forgot to say the D and develop, but that's what I got. Again, I hope you have a good whatever whenever you see this, and I hope you're acting in alignment to make the better, the best, and the miraculous your reality, because it's possible. But it requires something from us to do it. What are you? Oh, it's not the offering. I was going to say, what are you offering to make this change? It was the offering for the Siren. It's the prayer for you. So, all right, I'll catch you later. Have a good one. Bye. All right, if you chose the shadow, this is you. Look, the sun is moving to hit this selenite ball. So brighter days are coming, Shadow. Y'all got 3 aspects of this out. Like this is so, and these cards are like fairly large. I'm just like, how do I fit all this on the table? So I did want to pull some more cards. Let's just get into it. If the music is too loud, pardon. Sorry, it's fairly low. I just wanted to be able to hear it. It's the Peaceful Meditations playlist on Spotify. Maybe meditating is something that would benefit you right now. Excuse me. Personally, in my own journey, when I very first started, meditation was extremely beneficial. I could go for like 2 to 3 hours a day. After that, I'm like, I'm good if I can make it like half an hour, unless I was like in a meditation class or something like that. Then, it was different. But I'm good if I can make it like half an hour. And it's like once you discover that meditative state, once you unlock that meditative state, you may not necessarily have to go that deep all the time. There are different things that we can do to be in meditation. There are many ways to be in meditation, and some more unorthodox, quote unquote, than others. And it's not necessarily unorthodox because it's whatever works for you. It's just some more widely practiced than others. Anything that gets you into the place of calm, into a place of rest, into a place of connecting with yourself could be meditation. Anything, even like things that put you in that creative mode, could also be in some ways meditative, right? And it's like there are different sort of goals for meditation as well, right? Sometimes we meditate for clarity, sometimes we meditate for peace, sometimes we meditate to connect. And depending on the reason, we might pick or choose to do something different. So let's get into this. The first aspect we have is the healer. It's that energy of like, especially with the snakes on here, once you've experienced the toxin, you can create the cure, right? It's how some things are, in certain concentrations, they can be deadly, but in other concentrations, they can be a medicine. And I feel like it's about recognizing or realizing or coming to appreciate the medicine in whatever it is that you're experiencing. I mean, if the healer is here with the shadow, it feels like mighty calling. Next, we have the village, which is not an aspect of the self, which is interesting. Oh, this could be some past life trauma. It could be. It's like maybe you could have been a healer in a past life, and whoop, like the village healer, and then one day something happened, and then they like burned the witch. It reminds me of, I think it was Good Omens. They were going on a witch hunt, and they were like, she cured this, and like this other person was suffering from that, and she healed them. She's a witch, and I'm like, wait. Isn't that a good thing? Ain't that a good thing? Like, I had a dream one time, a long time ago, that I was like a little girl and I had an older brother. It was a whole family, but there was one brother that I was particularly fond of and close to. And the magic that I practiced was magic to bring like happiness and joy to people and stuff like that. And like the father in that dream wasn't necessarily supportive of that, but my brother was, and that's why we were so close. Um, but I think one day he was like, you can't. One day, this is all in the dream. I don't know why I'm talking about it, but it feels relevant. He was like, you can't like just show your magic to people. Like they don't understand, blah blah blah, whatever. But I'm like, I'm just helping people. I'm bringing happiness and joy. Like I don't understand where the problem lies. And we were at dinner at one point, and father was talking about doing whatever, and mother was like, let her be her. And he was like, no, like, this is what our family does, or we're supposed to do this, or whatever. I don't know. And I remember it was interesting because I could see like this angry mob heading towards the house, and like we were fairly well off. And I was like, what's happening? And, mother in the dream, she was like, it's like they basically, girl, they coming for us. They coming for us. Y'all need to get away. And I was like, I don't understand. Like we help them. It's like it's because of us that the crops did so well. Like people are eating because of us. There's no famine or starvation because of us. Why are they turning on us? I don't get it. And she at the time wasn't in a place to like tell me about it. She told the brother that I was closest to get me and to leave, and then the rest of them stayed. And then I woke up. So it was a dream, but it's kind of sort of this energy. Um, so maybe there are these abilities that you've had for a long time that you've never, for religious or other reasons, not necessarily religious, maybe you face some kind of persecution. Hey Siri, define persecution.
Persecution means hostility and ill treatment, especially because of race or political or religious beliefs.
Yeah, persecution. I was like, prosecution? We ain't prosecuting. Well, maybe you were prosecuted, I guess. Maybe persecution and prosecution. Um, and so it created this sort of hesitation to be seen or to dive into your gifts. Maybe it carries over. Maybe it's a lesson. Times in the past were different than the times that we're coming into now. Things are coming into a balance now. Um, so, yeah. Or maybe it's like your gifts have a certain context, but the furthering of them or the other things that you're into, you don't necessarily feel that same welcomeness. There's an aspect of not like these gifts not feeling welcomed or appreciated in some way. And then we have the eternal child. And the eternal child, it's interesting because I actually saw this card as I was pulling all of them out. Oh, now the eternal child is getting some light. It's channeling the light to the selenite ball. Let's go. Um, Excuse me. There's a few messages. I feel like there is a message that I'm like leaning in. That's why this is whatever. Um, One of the messages, it could be something from a past life. Another one is like if these gifts are never given the opportunity to develop, then they kind of sort of stay what they are. And the third is again, it's that persecution. It's something that you haven't found acceptance for since you were a child, and it's almost like there's a part of you that's always held as a child because of it. And that's true for anyone who experiences a trauma or an event that keeps them stuck at a certain period in time. It's like, oh, I can't do this or I can't be this because like of everything that comes with it, all of the harassment and ostracization, and we become these children who, these like old children, and it's like we never really mature into who we are or who we can be because of these limitations and blockages. And I feel like there are so many old children out there. And old children because it's like we get older, but we never really mature past the point of being a child because we never really dive more into who we are without the limitations and restrictions that have been like societally imposed upon us, or mentally or emotionally. And that's also a bit of the shadow. I feel like the shadow is probably tugging at you, maybe in some ways asking to be expressed. It's like, how long do you plan on keeping me locked up down here? We also have the venom. Oops, well, the venom wanted to pop right on top of this, right on top of the village. So yeah, it feels like not a lot of support necessarily around. And then the judge here. I feel like the judge that's you. This is you deciding if you are going to project that same venom onto yourself that others have. You know what? Might as well do this. This feels right. This feels even. So the eternal child is topping all of this. But instead of like topping it, I see it like it's all stemming at this eternal child. Then we have the village and the venom, the venomous village that keeps this child suppressed. And then we have the healer and the judge up here, which is, it's like these higher influences that are trying to come in to liberate this child, to put it into the space where it can mature past the shadow. But everything that's sort of been done to us, it's like it replays in our mind. It's these wounds that never really had the ability to close because we continue to live it out instead of allowing ourselves to be healed. And again, it's like once we heal, and here's the toxin, here's the poison, here's the venom, and I said it. Once we heal from the venom, it's like we're able to cure it. It makes us resistant, it makes us immune, and it teaches us proper balance, like what the concentration where it can be used as a medicine would be. And I think that's the judge here. It's like, will you continue to allow this venom to be uh, toxin, or will you turn it into medicine? And your eternal child, your internal child, well, your eternal child. There's a difference, okay? Because there's also the aspect of it that is your inner child. And your inner child isn't always a child. That's why it needs to mature. That's why it needs to evolve. That's why it has these experiences. Right? And again, it's like our inner child being the space of the truest version of who we are. And so it's not necessarily a child in maturity or a child in age. It's a child by means of purity before it's sort of tainted by the world, right? Before it's told who it can be and who it can't be and what is and what isn't acceptable. I'm going to get like one card for each of these. So for the healer, I think I'm just going to pull them. Yeah, that's how I'm going to do this. So, well, planned on it. I'm going to leave these with the internal child. The eternal child. Okay. Okay. No, see, that's way too much. These I'll take. Okay. See, at first y'all wasn't talking, and I was like, okay, that's fine. Now y'all want to talk. Now y'all want to talk, big blubber mouths. I'm just playing. Six of Swords is at the bottom of the deck. I feel like this Six of Swords, it's not about navigating out of the shadow. I think it's not about leaving the shadow behind. It's about integrating it. This shadow, if you're like deep in your shadow right now, I feel like you're deep in these parts that need to be integrated. And if there's a lot of sort of things triggering you, if there's a lot of pain coming up, it's pain that needs to be judged. Let's look and see what's around the judgment card real quick. And evaluate it again. Oh, well, look, literally right there at the bottom of the deck. Six of Swords, Judgment, and the Mother of Swords. That was easy. I was like, let me go look and see what's around the Judgment card. And now Temperance is right there. And that's that healing. That's that alchemy. That's what it's like. Until this is done, it will always take time. It only takes time when it's left unfinished. When it's done cooking, you take it out of the oven, right? Because you don't want to overcook it. But that's what I have. The Six of Swords, the Mother of Swords, and Judgment. When it comes to this Hangman, the Hangman is clarifying the Judge. I feel like that's us not being able to separate and differentiate ourselves from our environment, not being able to separate from what was instilled in us. This is still us evaluating ourselves in the space of others, and as long as we continue to do that, this depolarization, this unification will never be allowed to happen. Now we're coming up to the Venom, where we have the Ace of Swords and the Nine of Pentacles. I feel like we found a way to be, I mean, life doesn't stop for anybody. And depending on what your life is, we don't sometimes really get the time to properly grieve or to properly explore who we are and our interests. It's like we got to keep living. We got to keep moving. And I feel like this darkness has become a part of who you are. You've learned to sort of survive and thrive as best you can within it, but it's coming to the time where it's time to free yourself. And it's time for you to claim your power. It's time for you to claim your truth with this Mother of Swords. Right? And this Mother of Swords, like, it's this minor judgment. Or I guess she's the court judgment card. She's pre-justice. Justice. I keep saying judgment. The Mother of Swords is pre-justice. Right? And in this deck, it's not even raised. She's resting on her sword. You don't, like, it doesn't need to be this big thing. It can be sometimes, and when it is, it's fine, but the priority here, I feel like sometimes when we are extra loud and defiant, it's to make a statement. And sometimes statements need to be made, but I feel like it's really about finding this comfort and this peace within the self. And not to say that everyone who is loud or vocal or out there is not comfortable with themselves. That's not what I'm saying. But it's to have this quiet resolve within yourself. And maybe you're finding this quiet resolve within yourself before you get loud and boisterous, or before you are more visibly, I guess, you. But I feel like it's also the recognition that this is some of the stuff that you've internalized. Now, coming over to the Village is the Father of Pentacles. I feel like this, again, it's something that's been instilled within you. It's something that's been ingrained within you, and you've matured in the space of almost what other people would want. And maybe like you are a little bit rebellious, but you don't ruffle too many feathers. You don't do too much. You don't want to be too wild. Clarifying the Healer is the Three of Pentacles. This, to me, it speaks of community. Maybe like there's this old toxic community, but then there's this new community that's available to you. A community of a higher vibration that speaks closer to the truth of who you actually are. And you would discover that if you allow yourself to break yourself free of everything that you've sort of been suppressed into. Right? It's like when you pack a suitcase overly full, and if like the zipper is about to bust, and if you hit it the wrong way, it'll just explode or something like that. because it's so under pressure. But this is about finding that community that resonates to who you are, to the point where you don't have to hide and you don't have to feel like this outcast with that hangman energy. But before you really fully find and allow yourself to be a part of this, you have to begin to be who you authentically are. It's that like attracts. It's that like attracts like type of energy. And with the eternal child, it's the Eight of Pentacles and the Hermit, two cards of Virgo energy. And I love this because the spider currently is at the bottom of the Wild Unknown Oracle cards. And we see the spider in its web both times. And then here's the firefly, that which holds its own light. But the spider is in its web. What? I feel like I'm saying web weird. Whelp. I couldn't say birth. I was saying like birth and something else. The spider is in its web here. But with the eternal child, it's like, or with this hermit, it's like we are constantly creating our life. And we are constantly, like, our reality is being constantly affirmed by us and the environment. And which are we building? For a long time, it seems like we sort of made do or made peace with being unfulfilled and being an outsider, being an outcast, being not too much of who we are. But it's like we're getting to the space where we're wanting too much. You're wanting too much. That's why the Ace of Swords is here with this Nine of Pentacles. I feel like you've realized that you can't get to the Ten of Pentacles. You can't claim your own King of Pentacles, Father of Pentacles, by being what someone else wants for you to be. You got to do it your own way. And with the Hermit, again, I feel like it is about going inside, going within. It's about carrying that torch, and it's about bringing the inside to the outside. I feel like, honestly, with this shadow, it feels like you're in a space where you realize and recognize these things about yourself. Maybe you're just having difficulty expressing and externalizing that, Hawk spirit. But the divine is sort of watching, and the divine, it has this ability to see in a way that we don't. And so it can guide us in ways. It's like it sees in ways that we don't, but it isn't necessarily always able to 100% accurately, in a timely, step by step to how we operate manner, line everything out. And so it's like it puts things into our experiences, sometimes blockages, sometimes blessings, to get us closer to where it is that we want to be. And so maybe we've been in this space with the hangman coming out with the judge, but judgment, the Six of Swords, judgment, and the Mother of Swords, it's like, again, it's trying to get us to see, like, what do you want? Who are you? And what are you willing to continue to compromise? Are you willing to continue to compromise? Are you willing to continue to suppress? And how long? Because eventually it's going to reach that point where, when things are subjected to high pressure, the slightest disturbance can have things explode. And also with the healer in this Three of Pentacles, I feel like there are people who are being brought into your life to assist you with this healing, but you have to be open to it. Right? Maybe you heal each other. Maybe you show each other. Maybe you grow each other. There we go. Thank you. Bottom of the deck is the Worm. The Worm. Here we go. I'll put it down this way. The Worm. Give me a second, y'all. Hold up. Here it is. I was like, oh. Y'all got, oh no, it's only one. I was like, y'all got two cards. The Otter came out. This is interesting because the Otter was at the bottom of the deck for the previous one, I believe. It was. the raccoon and the otter, and it was about being playful. For you, I mean, the eternal child, the otter, it's playful. Otters also buddy up, right? And you see them rafting down the river holding hands when they sleep so that they don't drift apart when they're asleep, and so that they don't wake up and not even be able to notice that they're not together anymore. And I feel like it's sort of that energy. Maybe when you were younger, and maybe at one point you were holding on more to who you were and the truth of who you were, but as you grew up and you had to grow up, eventually it's like you put distance between yourself, and then all of a sudden one day you wake up and you don't even realize who you are anymore. You look at your life and everything that you have in it, and you're like, most of the stuff I don't even like or want. Like, this doesn't even speak to who I am. When did I become what I didn't want to be? Like, I really thought that I was gonna buck the system and be defiant all the way to the end. Like, what happened? When did I give up on me? And I feel like, again, like, we are adults, and again, our inner child isn't necessarily immature, but I feel like it's about bringing that element of play. It's about bringing that element of purity of who we are into our lives, and it's about creating something that we enjoy, right? And it's like we get these bits of light and positive moments that illuminate the way forward, but that don't, maybe we don't feel like we can ground that energy. And again, I feel like we can't ground it because the eternal child is, it's still stuck at the village and the venom. It's still stuck at what's been poured into you and like what your experience of the world has been, but like there's so much more outside of that, but you have to make that judgment call within yourself to give yourself permission to experience that. And I feel like with the worm at the bottom of the deck, it is this energy of subterranean movement, but also of regrowth and regeneration. It's an energy of things happening beneath the soil in ways that actually support you. But if you feel like the worm that's washed up on a sidewalk, then it's like, or I don't even think it's about you being the worm that's washed up on the sidewalk. I just feel like in some ways the worm isn't where it needs to be to root this out. Maybe recently you've made a choice to cut some things out of your life that actually were serving you because of trying to reconcile the venom in the village with this new life that you could be sort of living. And the thing about the village is that we always return, right? So maybe there are some things that you temporarily put a pause on to go out, allow yourself to be you, get your happiness, and then maybe eventually one day you go back and you can help heal other people from the village, and you can be the example of, you know what, like, there is more to life than this. Maybe it takes for you to be the first in this. But going back to that worm, I feel like there was this energy below the ground that was doing what it needs to do, but now all of a sudden it's sort of gone. I feel like it's time for us to take the reins in our own lives because eventually this has to be something that we do. And I feel like after it's done, then we can play, then we can enjoy. But until then, it's like we're scouring the rivers and trying to find that piece of us that we let go of. And I think we'll find it. We have to want to find it and be reunited with it more than we fear ourselves or fear accepting this, or more than we want to continue to appeal to and appease this energy that would suppress us. So that's what I got. I'm gonna clean this up and then we'll get the final shuffle in, and I'll end this. So I hope you have a good whatever whenever you see this, and I hope you're acting in alignment to make better and the best and the miraculous your reality because we have the opportunity. And for this in particular, like when 3 cards came out, I was like, "Ooh, this might be rough," um, and it might be, but honestly, like you can love yourself in little ways. You can love yourself in quiet ways, and maybe again, you're not at the point right now where you can be extremely external about the you that you are. Maybe right now it is something that you keep internally. Maybe you build this web within yourself before it stretches out into your environment. Maybe for some reason you are in a space of being reliant upon something or someone, and so in this space, until you can escape or until you can leave the village, you have to play this role. And if you have to play the role, that's fine. Just keep the truth of who you are on the inside, and don't let it be taken, because eventually you end up becoming what the village sort of projected for you to be. Don't forget. What is that song? I think it's Demi Lovato. Did you forget? I don't know. All right, we'll get into the end of this. All right, so welcome to the end of the video. I like to do a thing whenever I use cards. I call it the final messages, the last shuffle, just to make sure that everything that needs to get out is out, and so that next time I pick these up, it's like not as much lingering, right? So let's go. Let's get right into this. These are a little difficult to shuffle, obviously. That was terrible. And like every time I use these, it's like every other time. It's like I'll separate them by setting, I'll separate them by location, object, self, and phase of life, and then the next time I'll just be like, oh, put them all together, and then the next time I'll separate them again, and then the next time I'll put them all together. And before I started this, I had to separate them to get the aspects of the self that I wanted, because I knew I wanted to use different aspects of the self as something to choose, but I didn't know which ones. And so I just separate all of them. I separated all of them, and then I was like, okay, well, let's see which ones we go for. And then I was like, well, they're all separated now, so instead of just picking one for each, I'll do, the aspect of the self, the location, and the item or the thing. But now I'm mixing them all up again. Well, I'm trying to mix them all up again. Oh no, that was. Oh well, there we go. We'll take that one because this was way too much. Oh yeah, we ain't even gonna look at them. Oh, the lover, and gnosis. Gnosis is about what, like awakenings and beginnings and stuff like that. With the lover, like newly awakened love that has the potential to flourish and thrive in a way that maybe it didn't before, because we weren't yet in a place to give or receive the type of love that we're going to be coming into. I feel like one of the things that a lot of this year has highlighted and illuminated, now we're shuffling better a little bit, is sort of maybe where we lack internally, right? Or what we really want and what we really desire. And so it's been this opportunity to work on and heal ourselves, as well as tap into what will actually fulfill us, and not just, I feel like this year has reminded us how transient everything is, how it can be here at one moment and gone the next. And just because we do one thing that sort of society or culture tells us will give us stability doesn't mean that it will necessarily last. And so again, it's just an opportunity to heal and to do what we need. And we have the gem here. This is very diamond in the rough. It's a crow's nest. Crow being spirit. Okay, I don't know. That's interesting. The bridge and the castle. The castle is 43. The bridge is 38. And the gem is 56. The bridge and the castle. This is Tangled, right? Eugene, that was his name, right? Had the crown or whatever, ran over the bridge through the woods, ended up at the tower. Now that was a tower, not the castle, but castles speak of royalty and where royalty lives. Bridges speak of connection. And then the gem in the nest of spirit, I feel like this is an energy of us reaching a place where we can find true fulfillment and happiness that comes from an authentic place. Sovereignty is what I'm getting with the castle. The prize is the gem. And I feel like with with spirit being the crow, um, it's almost like maybe it's abundance, maybe it's love, maybe it's something else that leads us down these spiritual paths. But eventually, we sort of reach the point where we cross over into the threshold of what is eminent domain? Hey Siri, what is eminent domain?
Eminent domain, land acquisition, compulsory purchase, resumption compulsory acquisition, or expropriation is the power of a state, provincial, or national government to take private property for public use.
Okay.
Would you like to hear more?
No, thank you. The number of times he said compulsory and compulsory evacuation order was the first card. It's the card in the thumbnail yesterday. And so that was this energy of certain pieces being taken off of the board. Eminent domain is it's claiming private lands for public use. What was held by a few will now be made open to all through the space of the work of more and more people sort of coming into their sovereignty. And once you become a sovereign being, in my opinion, one of the best things that you can do for the collective is to not flinch or turn away from the shadows that arise, because your attention is divine. And if you see something wrong, through your attention and intentions, you have the ability to energetically, at the very least, begin to motivate change in that area. To turn a blind eye to it is to continue to allow it to be. And it's like when we do that, it's like, what good is it for the castle to thrive when the kingdom collapses? But anyway, it's like all of that is the lure. But eventually you come to this point where you cross over into the self, where maybe it becomes about more than just money or getting this person or getting that person. When it becomes about self-love and self-discovery, and that turns into this ability to navigate, I guess, in a different way, in a way that's more compassionate, in a way that's more conscious of others instead of just the self. I feel like a lot of times it seems that when we talk about oneness or when we talk about anything, it's like what we're doing is we're prioritizing our own consciousness over others. And we're trying to collapse all consciousness onto our own. when in reality, it's our consciousness that should sort of bleed into that of everything. And it becomes very much that energy of an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. And to allow something to happen without your attention. And again, it's not like, we got to go looking at the worst of the worst. But if something is brought to your attention, it's brought to your attention for a reason. And the very least you could do is to give that some energy to begin to shift in the opposite direction. And to not necessarily be like, well, that's not my experience. That's not my reality. It's all of an illusion. None of it matters. And it's like, that's us sacrificing a piece of our power. Because again, what good does it do the world for the castle to thrive and flourish while the kingdoms suffer, crumble, and collapse? I don't know. That's where that went. Okay. I'll take it. I think sometimes I try to force things to fit more of the cards, and sometimes I lose where I'm going. But it's not that I force it, but I try to tie it back to the card, because it's like the card is what's leading me to this conclusion. It may not necessarily fit the traditional meaning, but that's okay. That's what I got. So next, we're gonna go with the animals. We're gonna get the final message. The final message. Ooh, these are shuffling so tight, so nice today. I ain't really used these in a minute, or the archetypes. What's the final animal we have? And I'll actually, goodness. Oh, this is so many. I didn't see any of them. I'll just read them. So we have the wolf and the rabbit, which is interesting. Both the element of earth. So we have like prime prey and the apex predator from earth. Even though I don't think wolves necessarily too much eat rabbits. I feel like they'd have to eat a lot of rabbits to get full. And then we have the turtle, this tarantula, the snake, the cheetah, and the whale. We have the element of water, fire, earth, fire, and more water. So no air at all. What did Jordan Sparks say? And then we have the sea serpent, which is the element of ether or spirit. I'm not going to read any of those. That was too many, but I did want to note them. No creature from the air there. What we saw? Oh, no, wait. That was for the other pile. The message of the hawks and the falcons. So the kettle hawk is about precision and accuracy of movement. The peregrine falcon was about speed. But kettle hawks are also pretty fast. And we did just see the cheetah. I think the peregrine falcon is the fastest animal on the planet. It has a diving speed that surpasses the sprinting speed of the cheetah. But it's not necessarily about how fast you can do something sometimes, because if it's not sustained, then it doesn't really necessarily matter. And again, you can't be eating rabbits on cheetah metabolism, because that's a lot of rabbits. And so I think it's time for us to bite off a little bit more out of life. It's not about necessarily predator and prey, but it's like to achieve the things that we want to achieve, or to reach and attain the heights that we want to reach and attain, we got to go after something bigger, right? When you outgrow something, you got to move on to the next. So final animal spirit, and preferably 1, please. 2 at the most. 3 is really pushing it. 7 is a definitely no today. It's a definitely no today. I wish I knew how to shuffle that way. right? I guess I just did it kind of. Firefly, shine that light. Bottom of the deck. Love it. That's bioluminescence. Oh, we got the butterfly. Two, no flies, but two animals with fly in their names. And then there's the turtle again. The butterfly and the firefly. This is about transformation. This is about coming into your own light. And it's about a newness. It's about a rebirth. It's about navigating in ways that we couldn't before. And as we're doing that, it's about being open to these brand new experiences at the same time, right? And it's like we're not doing caterpillar things anymore, right? We're not doing those dark things anymore. We're not afraid of the dark anymore because we have our own light. And it's time to shine that light. And it's not, I feel like my phone just vibrated. And there's no reason for it to. That was weird. Right, like we're not necessarily stars and suns, I feel like, and don't be insecure about the type of light you have, right? I don't think this is necessarily the case, but it might be, because there's a lot of times, honestly, I'll be reading and I'll be like, I feel like this don't really resonate for anybody. Like, I feel like this isn't the case. And then somebody will be like, oh my gosh, like, that's so me. And I'm like, or like, I'll be reading for somebody and I'll just like feel so much that like, I'll be like, I don't know why this message keeps coming out, because I feel like you should be over this. Or like, I feel like this isn't affecting you, but and then, come to find out it is. So that's something that I have to trust in within myself. Sometimes my intuition is like off, like 180 degrees. Like if you ask me a question, I'll be like, I don't know the answer to that, but I definitely 100% for some reason know that it's not apples. And then the answer will be apples. And I'm like, but I was so sure that it wasn't. Like I did not know. All I knew was that it wasn't apples. I have a taffy apple in the fridge that I need to eat. I just remembered it. Sorry. Could have had that on Halloween. It's fine. But yeah, it just be like that sometimes. And so that's something that I've become more aware of now. And so even if I feel like something doesn't necessarily hit, or if I feel like something isn't a roadblock, maybe it's because it doesn't have to be, but if it is, then it is. I forget why I started talking about that, but that's something. So final message from the Wild Unknown, please. At the most, I will take 3 cards from this one. I did say I was going to read the animal, didn't I? Let me get that really quick and read it, since I said I would read it. It was the butterfly. I was like, if I can even remember. We got the butterfly and the firefly. When all the animals came out, I was like, oh my gosh, there's no air. Where's the air? Where's the air? And then it came out. Twice, in fact. Butterfly. What's the thing on the reading rainbow? I'll read the firefly too. So, butterfly. Butterfly! Oh my gosh. Hold up. 1 second. It's fine. I'll do it later. Butterfly says, undergoing great change and transformation. The energy of the butterfly is with us during periods of transition. Since air is the element of the heart, this change usually involves relationships, or if you love your job, perhaps your career. Since transition is accompanied by some amount of discomfort, be extra patient and kind during this time, especially if the butterfly is you. Let solid friends and activities support you like a cocoon. Committing to one daily routine, a meal, practice, or prayer, done at the same place and time, will do wonders for lifting a butterfly spirit. And I think that's all about in the space of such great and look, 8 of Swords at the bottom of the deck, the butterfly still in the cocoon. I didn't plan that when I decided to read this. I feel like part of that energy is when everything is so chaotic and when everything is in a state of transition, it's about creating or finding something stable and dependable in your life. That's what I think. That's it eases the shock of that transition a little bit, to feel like you're in control in some way, or just let it be. Or you can listen to the book. You can listen to Ken. When in balance, this energy is cheerful and graceful. When out of balance, it is fragile and frustrated. To bring into balance is that daily routine. Now, I'm going to read the Firefly. For those of y'all who don't know, sometimes I struggle to read things, but we get through it. Firefly. This is inspired and fantastic, yet fleeting. Oh. The firefly contains the light of 1,000 stars. It's pure, radiant, and illuminating. This high frequency charge cannot this high frequency charge cannot be sustained for long. Therefore, the Firefly card indicates a moment of inspiration or awakening that quickly fades if we do not catch it. There is Firefly energy behind every poem, song, and invention. Our job and there is firefly energy behind every poem, song, and invention. Our job is to be ready to harness this creative spirit when it graces our path. What can you do to support this precious and elusive light? In balance, it is creative and brainstorms. When out of balance, it also writes, right? When in balance, it writes, it's creative, and it brainstorms. When out of balance, it is burnt out and it feels dull. To bring into balance, it says write a poem or draw. And again, what did I say? I think I said something. It's been like 2 hours about something being fleeting or something not being permanent or something like that. Again, I don't remember. But with Butterfly and Firefly, I feel like that speaks to it's like when things are in this much of a need for change and to transform. I feel like Spirit is supporting a lot right now. And we're being asked to do a lot, maybe in a relatively short amount of time, but the payoff now is huge. The payoff now is huge. Like, the world is shifting in so many ways. Imagine being the first person or one of the firsts to be like, like, this is an issue. Well, here's a solution. That's an issue. Well, here's another solution. Like, we can't make this clean. We can't make this green. Well, here's the solution. And I talked about that before. It's like there are going to be the forces that fight to keep things as they are, and then there'll be the pioneers and the leaders who really get us into this next phase. And I mean, next phase is supported. So you might get a little bit farther than maybe you could have in the past, because the times are changing, energies are changing. Maybe you would have faced ostracization, alienation, and persecution in the past for something that maybe you'll find support of now and in the coming months, right? When faced with mortality, a lot of people get more religious or more spiritual. Some people get less, but it opens up our minds that there has to be more. So, final message from the Wild Unknown, please. From the Wild Unknown, please. Please give me the final message, because I'm ready to end this video. Did not necessarily plan on being here this long. As soon as I saw them 4 cards out, and I was like, 4? Why not 3? Like, 3 is such a sweet spot. And then low-key, I wasn't going to do the shadow like that. And I had already, this is one continuous video that I'm pausing. So I'm not, editing this together. And I was like, well, the shadow has already, made an appearance, so I can't just not do the last one. But it's fine. Y'all don't need to hear me complain. Not that it's a real complaint. It just took a little bit longer than I thought. I don't know why I expected anything different. Well, that's because I surprised myself earlier and I made a video that wasn't super long. I was like, what? I can get to that point for Realsingtons? Like for realties? And it's like, yeah, you have that ability. I was like, okay, cool, work. Okay, so final message from the Wild Unknown, please. Sorry for the ramble. 3 cards at the most. 1 or 2 is fine. If it's more than 3, I will honor and acknowledge. And then we'll see. Watch this be a whole extra hour. It is 3 decks though, so. Alright, let me quiet down. And calm down. Okay, we're actually going to do it this way. Oh, what? I was like, wait, what is this? That's my little bookmark for Spirit. And the book for the animal spirits. I use the white one. I use the red one for fire, the green one for earth, the blue one for water, the yellow one for air. There we go. There's another butterfly. I can fly twice as high. The reading rainbow. Maybe. Is that how the words go? I don't know. I can go anywhere. Is that how it goes? I don't know. 6 of Pentacles and the 6 of Wands. We've seen the 6 of Swords at some point. The 6 of Wands, and we saw the 6 of Wands too. So this is about victory. This is about overcoming the darkness. This is about transformation. This is about... It's like we can use the light of the firefly. We can... What's that? We can shine the light of that firefly. We can radiate it outward, anchor that into our environment, and then it's like use this burst of energy to really enter this brand new phase, to really enter this brand new state, to the point where it doesn't necessarily matter that the light of this firefly isn't permanent or less ephemeral, is less transient. It's what we do with it. And it's like we have this opportunity to really put ourselves in a position to be so far out of the energy that we were in that it is that like huge contrast and that huge difference. So that's what I got. It was a little bit of a longer one. I feel like the readings themselves were decently sized, right? This wasn't a 5-hour video with an hour for each, but if it had been, it would have been. So I hope you have a good whatever, whenever, and I hope you're acting in alignment to make it the best it can possibly be. Because again, I really do feel like it's possible right now, but it requires something of us. It requires a lot of us. So not like a lot. It just requires us to like be in a position to actually move forward and to better ourselves and to let the things go that we know that don't serve us and to really embrace these changes and allow purification and transformation to be. Which again, it is a lot, but it's not a lot, but it is a lot. So I'll catch y'all whenever I catch y'all.